That was quick. I was just starting to get into it.
What happened? StreamYard is tripping. That's a great intro. It's like, what? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Welcome.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome to Melanated Wear, you guys. I'm Linda. That's April. We are catching up on all things 90 Day Fiance season 11. We're at episode 14 and 15. And we're like, I felt like we were almost done, but there were so many episodes this season.
And you know what else? I didn't realize how many of them are hour and a half episodes. I thought at the beginning they gave us some hour and a half episodes, but they continued to give us a lot, which is great for every couple except for Amini and Annie. Like, it's great that we get all this information. But I also thought that we were about to be caught up. But
Same.
it's okay, guys. It's okay. Like, I'm sure that you all are behind in life a little bit, so you're right here with us.
Facts. And even if you're not, oh well, here we are.
Yeah. You can talk about it some more.
Okay, season 11, episode 14, All's Fair in Love and War. The episode starts off with Shekinah and Sarper, and they're reminiscing about his stand-up comedy and how he, went tit for tat on Dan. And she's like, what we're not about to do is break up my friend group because my friends are my chosen family. And in this scenario, you were the villain, she says, right? And then she goes on to say that Dan came to support. And my note literally says SMH. Nah, Dan wasn't there to support.
He didn't.
No.
He was there to be messy because he wasn't even invited.
Messy, a hater, make his presence known. I mean, you guys, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in these episodes as well. But I also do think, and I want you guys to put this in the back of your mind somewhere, a lot of you put people in your relationships that don't need to be in your relationships. There are too many people in your relationships. And I'm seeing a lot of that in a lot of the couples here. And you're setting yourself up for failure. Hey, Raydella. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey. Even friendship. Some of these people don't even need to be your friend.
That part.
Much less be a part of your relationship.
That part. So she wants him, Sarper, to go to Dan and apologize, which I was not a fan of. I was like, what would he be apologizing for? First of all, Dan needs to mind his own business. Dan is a messy Betty. And he made a joke. Well, you talked crazy to him the last time, but here we are. So what I love about Sarper, he's like, I'm going to solve this issue in a modern way. But if I can't solve it in a modern way, then by force, no problem. He's trying not to be a caveman, y'all.
Mm-hmm. He's trying.
He's really trying. And so he decides to take Shekinah up on her idea and meets with Dan. What did you think of Dan's castle, Abby?
Okay, so it was hard for me to care about his house because I don't like him.
Yep.
I was like, nothing this man could do would impress me. I'm also not impressed by friend groups where everybody's dating everybody. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
And I agree with that. And I also think that he was trying to flex. Like, he's like, let me show you my house. And he's like, I don't really need to see your house. I came here to squash our beef. But what you're trying to do, and which I didn't like, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I didn't like the fact that he was trying to flex on Sarper as if I have all of this and you have nothing.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. This guy hasn't even been here for 3 months. Right? You've been here for years and years and years. Of course you have those things. What you're not about to do is you're going to try to flex and be like you're a bigger, better man than me when you've had way more time to get to this point in your life.
Right. And Sarper could have easily said, wow, you have all this and she still doesn't want you.
That part. And then I like how he's terrible with sayings like myself, but he's like, yeah, I'm going to have this conversation with Dan and I'm going to put a dot at the end of this sentence. I will be using that immediately. A dot at the end of this sentence. It
Definitely.
like, you know what? It talks to me, April, right? Because of my like writing and grammar and all the things. This really, 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 really spoke to me.
Right.
Tanya says, you mean Dan's Airbnb?
It could have been. Do you know that there are guys, okay, like, so you know on TikTok how some people are always like in their cars when they're talking?
Yeah,
Do you know that there are people who like rent cars to do that? Those are not their cars.
I believe it.
I just learned this recently. I thought people had gone too far with the like getting onto movie studios to pretend like they're in a private jet, but
People
renting
are
the car to make TikToks.
People are wild. Listen, there was a girl I saw online. She has like I guess like a pink, some type of fancy pink car. Maybe it was like a Corvette or whatever. And she was in the restaurant and she sees that there's some other influencer who opened the door, got into her car to take pictures, to act like this pink car was hers. And when I
No
tell you,
way.
I tell you that this black girl flew out of the restaurant and was talking crazy to this influencer, like, you best get out of the car immediately, if not sooner, because what's about to happen to you, you're not going to want to happen.
In somebody else's car. That's crazy.
Just to fake the funk. So are people never going to meet you in real life? Because where's your fancy car? Where's your fancy house? Where's your you know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. Why would you
I
fake
don't
the funk?
I don't get it either. I would simply not pretend to be friends with Dan.
No,
I don't
Tanya
need him in the friend group.
found the link for, so that house is literally not done. She found the link for it. It's
Oh
an
wow.
it's an Airbnb. Yo, that makes
And
me
his name
even more disgusted with him.
and his name is not listed as the host. It's not as if he's the owner like renting it out, right?
We're about to
Like
find out.
Tanya is going to let us know. Okay.
Tanya's gonna let us know. So Dan says, welcome to my castle, and you deserve a little tour. And Sarper's like, yeah, I'm not feeling this at all. I don't need a tour. I came to talk. And what I appreciated about Sarper in this moment was that he was really trying to do his best to just have a conversation. He wants you to respect his relationship. He wants to not have problems in his relationship because Dan's creating problems, and Dan knows he's creating problems. But Dan's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not creating problems. You're the problem. And he's like, Dan says, do you think that you're the only bad boy? And I'm like, oh, we're having this testosterone, whatever it is that y'all are having. It's gross. No one cares. Like, no one cares. But here we are. So he goes to also poke the bear, right? So we all know that Shekinah said that, yeah, they went on 3 dates, they kissed, but they never did anything past that. And then Dan implies that he did more with Shekinah. And I felt like that was a low blow, disgusting move. First of all,
It
you're
is.
lying. Second of all, you're only saying that because you want to get a rile out of her current fiance.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you care? You're not in a relationship with her anymore. Why are you being this way? I don't get it, Abby. Why?
I don't know, but there are so many times where Sarper could have said more things than he did. I mean, in this moment, he could have said, so he's trying to brag about dating all the girls. So Sarper could have easily been like, so you've been rejected by everyone who knows you.
You are coming in hot. I love it.
But
Coming in hot, Abby.
he held back on saying these things because nothing that he said was really a flex. So
No.
like, oh, you had her in this castle, you gave her a kiss, and she didn't want anything else from you. Nothing else. Nothing was interesting that she wanted to pursue. Wow.
Yep. So Dan goes on to poke the bear, saying that he doesn't feel like the relationship between Shekinah and Sarper is going to last. And Sarper's like, listen, here we are. Let's just have mutual respect for each other. We're going to come to some type of terms, right? So he's not going to change friend groups. Sarper's not going anywhere. So let's just try to solve this by talking and by saying, hey, we're going to agree to disagree. Because what they're not are friends. And this little cease and desist It's on a fine line. I don't think that it's going to last very long because I feel like Dan's a little bit of a provoker.
He doesn't need to be around.
Yeah.
There's no cease and desist with somebody like him. His entire point of being around is to be contrary.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, moving on to Stevie and Madi. They have 2 days to get married. They're meeting up with Megan, Claire, Adam, and Saeed for a joint bachelor and bachelorette party. What is your thoughts on that? I know we touched on it last week, but what are your thoughts on joint bachelorette and bachelor parties?
I'm not really interested in that. To me, that's the equivalent of having like a joint Facebook account.
Yeah,
Who
we
wants
talked about
that?
it. Yeah, I'm
Like,
not into it.
who wants that?
Yeah.
Side note, like, if you're watching this and you have multiple different ways your name could be spelled, like Saeed, because your original name is not an alpha characters, choose one spelling when you apply for your very first visa or before you come to the US and stick with that one spelling because like we're looking at Saeed, Said, we're looking at all kind of things for Saeed and that happens to a lot of people because they don't pick one consistent spelling to use in the very first translation.
And to jump off of what April's saying, it will also cause you issues when you're traveling, right? Because if your documents are not consistent across the board, then you are more likely going to have an issue because you have to explain why that doesn't match this and the spelling and it's a lot. So
Right.
what Abby said, sorry, Abby, April.
It's okay.
Oh,
I
God.
didn't pick one spelling to start with.
Listen, no. First of all, I fell last night. So just a side note, you guys, it's summer. And so I was in the streets and I'm going to be in the streets all summer, but I fell. And I want to show you guys. I don't know if you guys can see how big this
Did you skin your knee?
do you see that this bump is like, it's huge, skin the knee, and I'm black. Do you see that this is black?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I full on fell out, y'all. And there's a whole story behind it that you will not get. But my leg looks crazy. All right. That being said, no joint bachelorette parties for me. I also thought that the going to a burlesque show was lame, right? I feel like that wasn't. I feel like a party is supposed to be a party. Like going to a burlesque show, that's one thing. Go and have a good time if that's what you like. But going for your party and everyone just sitting around, no one gets to interact. I just thought it was a lame idea, and I don't know who came up with it.
Right.
So Maddie's already explaining and complaining that he doesn't want any wild things. Well, did you not Google what burlesque was? Because you're about to have all the wild things. But here we are. And what I wanted to ask you, Abby, is do you think that Stevie, in this moment, her and her friends are being selfish?
Possibly, but I could understand her not thinking that she is because she thinks simply saying, tell me if you're uncomfortable was enough to avoid responsibility. I don't agree. I don't agree.
I feel, obviously, because I led with the leading question, that they're being very selfish, very inconsiderate about the fact that this guy literally has been in America for a month, coming from a full-fledged conservative, ultra-structured country, and you think that this is what he's going to want for his bachelor party. I don't think you put him into consideration. I think you just put yourself into consideration. And I found it very US centric.
I think she not only was not only thinking of herself, she wasn't thinking of the relationship either. Because if your relationship is in a precarious position, you shouldn't do things that are going to directly hit the area that you're having difficulty in.
Yeah.
He's already has an issue with you painting women's bodies nudes. He has an issue with you potentially being attracted to women, or he thinks that you are. Taking him to a burlesque show is like probably the worst thing that you could do. It's just like rubbing salt in the wound. I think you're giving us a demo of rubbing salt in the wound.
Oh, and you know what? I got that wrong. I was like, it's like sprinkling salt in the wound. That's what I was sprinkling.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So that wasn't really
Rubbing.
Yeah. And I mean, she could have just asked him, can you give me some ideas of things that you would enjoy us doing together?
But Abby, the simple fact that she doesn't know that, are you supposed to get married? You don't know what your partner likes to do? You don't
I
know
would
what would make him happy and what he would enjoy doing?
I would say no. I would say no that they shouldn't get married. I would say that the majority of the couples that we're looking at shouldn't get married. But what do I know? The last time I gave somebody advice they shouldn't get married, they were like, you're just upset because you're divorced and you're bitter. And I was like, okay, well, fuck me then.
Speaking of haters, Saeed is a hater. Period. Full stop. End of sentence.
Let me
Period.
think about it. Marty gave him a lot of fuel.
Right, which is why I said you guys have too many people in your relationships. But first of all, this fool, you know him, but it's not like he's your bestie. You gave him a ton of fuel, but now he's a hater and he thinks that he's going to be the person that is going to literally, like, it looked like he literally was trying to break them up. So
Yes.
the friend first says, "Ooh, this is too much, the burlesque show." Only one of you walked out, and that wasn't you, Siggy. You stayed for the whole show. The whole entire show. And when I say your eyes were popping, your eyes were popping. So for you to come out and say, "Ooh, this is too much," you sound like a hypocrite. Literally, to me. I hate those people. Like, "Oh, I hate this," but you're still watching. "Oh, I hate this, but you still go." "Oh, I hate this," but you're scrolling and commenting. Like, y'all are so whack for that. So Madi says, this is like all have been against his upbringing and his beliefs. So he walks outside. It's too much for him. He's only been in the country from Iran for a month. And overall, it was a bad idea. Now, again, my note says Saheed, who is an instigator as far as I'm concerned, stayed for the whole show. And then has the audacity to tell this couple that he thinks that they should wait to get married. I'm sorry. Who?
Nobody asked you.
Nobody asked you.
Even though I agree with you, nobody asked you.
That part. Nobody asked you. Now, Stevie says, we're doing what's best for us. And without saying that it's going to cost more money if they waited another additional 60 days, that's why they've sped up this process. Now, do I think that that's a reason to get married? Absolutely not. What Abby says and what we continue to say on our show, which I don't understand how we've watched 90 Day Fiance for years now. How are you getting to know your fiance in the 90 days? You should not be a fiance. The 90 days is to plan your marriage. It's not to get to know your partner.
And I thought it was so interesting that Madi said the officer who conducted his interview when he went to the consulate, the U.S. consulate, told him 90 days is not enough time to get to know each other. Like, they are telling them, I was like, maybe they were being misled somewhere along the way, but they're telling them in the interview, this 90 days is not for you to get to know each other. It's for you to
get married.
You're supposed to get to know each other beforehand. But they only visit each other one time, and they visit each other in Turkey. So it's neither one of their home bases. And I don't think you can really get to know somebody when they're outside of their home base.
And I agree with you 100%, but I do think that he is using this as a way to escape where he doesn't want to be anymore. And that's why I also do think that he's expediting this marriage. Because when he said in the next episode that he's going to get married anyways and fix the problems after he gets married, well, yeah. What? Like, are you crazy? I think he's using it as a way to get out.
So I didn't think that before, but this episode, his conversations with Saeed have made me feel that way, because all Saeed is doing is mirroring the same concerns that Madi's telling him. But when fed back the same information, Marty's like, oh no, it's not that big a deal. I can live with it. I can live with it.
Right. Because he
So
doesn't.
you want to be seen complaining about it so that you can seem like you're upholding your principles, like you're being forced along. But when somebody is actually saying, no, you shouldn't do this, it goes against your principles, you're like, well, let me just go ahead and eat that pork.
Which is something I was about to say, Abby. So also, y'all are going to need to explain to me what rules you're picking and choosing to abide by, because as you're having your fireside chat, you also have drinks in front of you. So like, I'm trying to figure out, what is it that's important to you? What values are important to you? What are you sticking to? What's a hard line? Because clearly it's a little wavy.
It's a big wavy. The funny thing is, it's wavy when it comes to whatever he wants to do. It's only strict when it comes to what somebody else is doing.
But it's a pattern on 90 Day Fiance, because he's not the
Mhm.
only one, right?
Yeah.
Like, let me not talk crazy about Usman, aka Soldier Boy, because
He was
tell me what.
remember he was like, it was okay for him to have relations with baby girl Lisa because they were engaged, but he told Kim they could only kiss. I was like, girl, he just don't want you.
Listen, I posted a
He just
like
don't
a
want
flashback Friday or throwback Thursday of baby girl Lisa and
you.
Usman, and I said to myself as I was posting it, you guys, I am being 100% messy, and I'm here for it. I'm gonna do it anyway, because it was her talking about her Nigerian love, who is like an international. So you know how he says he's an international superstar. And now he's on 90 Day Hunt for Love, and so I was just being so messy, and I enjoyed it. All right, we're moving on to Mark, Mina, Maria. Auntie Alex is coming into town. They're gonna go wedding dress fitting. Mina's worried that the dress is not gonna fit, because when you move to America, it's like, I don't know, 10 pounds immediately just pops on you.
It
And
does.
I have my thoughts and theories about that, but it really does. And what's crazy is that you can go anywhere else in the world, you guys. You can go to Paris, you can go to Vancouver, you can go, I don't know, wherever, and eat all day long and not gain the weight. And I have a whole theory about that, but I won't get into it. So
Why not? I think it's pretty simple. Like the first thing is our food quality, and then the second thing is we don't really live in walkable cities.
food quality, yes, walkable cities. I also think that there are a lot more, I mean, it falls under food quality, but like, I think there are a lot more, like less pure foods in America. Everything has an additive and a preservative and a color and
Mm-hmm.
a thing. I think that the standards are not the same here as it is in other places. There are many things that you can get in America that you can't get really anywhere else. So yeah, there's a lot going on. But that being said, she was worried that her dress was not going to fit. The dress was gorgeous. And she's like, I look amazing. And then she giggled to herself and said, that's talk of humility. And I laughed. And I was like, but if you don't say you're gorgeous, who will? You do look
Exactly.
gorgeous.
Exactly.
You
Go
do
ahead,
look
big up
gorgeous.
yourself.
And it's okay to proclaim that.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to wait for some man to tell you or somebody else to tell you. You can be your own validation. It is okay to validate yourself.
100%. So her
Mm-hmm.
sister, I cried, you guys. I did have a few tears that came down when the sister gave her a pearl necklace and the earrings to add to the completeness of the dress. But then the necklace, and inside there was an inscription, a picture of their parents who have passed. So that when she's walking down the aisle, you guys, her parents are right there close to her heart. Oh, it
That
was
was super
beautiful.
sweet.
It was really beautiful. So that was a special moment. And then they go back to the house, and as we're hearing, Mina is not happy with New Hampshire. And Mark is like cutting this conversation off. He's like, we're not moving. We already have a lot of life changes with immigration, prenup, adoption, babies. She's already agreed, and she agreed that she would come for at least 6 months. So my note says, Mina, you're having some first world problems, kind of like Aaliyah, where you're complaining about the house and your pilot soon to be husband and the plane that you have in the back of your in the garage and the runway, and there are too many trees as you sit your LV Louis Vuitton bag down on the ginormous table in the house that he owns in New Hampshire.
But
Well, I'm sorry.
Linda, did you see how hard it was for her to cross the street?
I listen, y'all. I don't know what's happening here. Y'all are confusing, but this right here, Mina, is not an issue. You're making it an issue, and I'm trying to understand what's going on.
Right. I agree. You are having this cast is having the most of the luxurious experiences that 90 Day has had to offer. Not every single one of you, but like I would say Mark and oh my goodness, what is Aaliyah's partner's name?
Sean.
Mark and Sean are probably out earning the majority of people who've been on this show.
Right. And then they have partners that are complaining the most. It's wild to me.
Right.
What I wanted to ask you, Abby, the attorney, is
yes.
So Mark is having her sign a prenup,
Mm-hmm.
and he has presented the prenup to her. And one of the conditions that she wanted was that he adopt her son, and then she'll sign the prenup. So he literally wrote it in and she signed it. So can you just add a written clause in a prenup and that be upheld? Or could that be something that could be challenged later on in court if it got to that point?
It could be challenged. If you want to add something to your will, which is called a codicil, the best way to do it is to initial all around it the person who's adding it. But honestly, they had time to go ahead and get it drafted properly to not be a written inclusion. Also, my guess is the reason she wants Clayton to be adopted is so that he could have the same benefits or privileges that Maria might have as a child. But those are things that can be written out in a will. There's no guarantee. Like he could leave everything to Jordan in a will and leave nothing to his other children, whether they're adopted or biological or whatever. So what she really should have asked for is X amount of money in a trust for Maria and Clayton, because the adoption alone, or even just being a birth child alone, is not a protection of legacy, of financial support. So the request that she made, unfortunately, was not really clear enough to get what I think she is after.
100%. What she said, 100%. And the fact also that he had this prenup that was already printed out, and then there was a blank box at the. It just seemed very fishy to me. I was like, that is not the way to go. And it's not being lost in translation because she got what she thought she wanted, in that she thought she was protecting her son. But I think that she should have probably went and got legal advice. She should have taken it.
You're supposed to. Like one of the basic challenges to a prenup is whether or not the other party had an opportunity to have independent counsel review the prenup with them. So that failure leaves that prenup open to challenge. The other thing about adoption is you cannot adopt a child over a biological parent's objection. So this agreement that he's going to adopt Clayton presupposes that the biological father, who has to be notified, you can't do it without at least notifying them, is going to either agree to it, or that they have abandoned, abused, or neglected the child such that their rights could be terminated. So I simply don't agree. And if they had gone to an attorney, any attorney would have told them adding an adoption as a condition on a prenup just doesn't really make any sense. You can't guarantee that it is done. You can't guarantee that the results of it are what you are expecting.
Right. Yeah. So that was my concern about that whole situation. If you're watching live, let us know what you guys think about that in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, let us know what you think in the comments below. Moving on to Annie, Matt, and Amani. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of notes on this, but why is Ray the ex getting involved in this mess as it is? Like, why am I watching this mess? These fools are not getting married in 90 days. Why, Ray, as an ex, are you coming and telling your ex's business to a bunch of strangers unless you're a hater? I'm trying to figure it out. Because what I'm not about to do, I'm not about to meet with my ex's current relationship to talk about my ex. Why would I be doing that?
I don't know. The very simple question that they could have asked is, why are we sending money to this person instead of it going directly to you? And there may have been a very basic, simple answer, but instead they chose to go this route, which is really weird. Also, I just want to give like some general relationship advice. Amani has this tendency that when things are not going well, she makes it everything. It's either all or nothing. You always lie to us. You're never telling us the truth. I knew we couldn't trust you. We can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Anytime things goes wrong, she makes always statements instead of addressing the actual condition that is occurring right in front of them. And I do not think those are good people to be in relationships with.
Agreed. Hi, new friend, Stephen, Tina, Jewel.
Hello. Thank you for the thumbs up.
Yes. So they find out that Annie is actually Brenda Anani, and she goes by Annie. So now Amani is like taking it to level 5,000. She feels lied to for the year because Annie, who are you? Do we even know you? Are you still married because your ex says you are? I don't know why you're listening to the ex. I actually don't even know why you're texting the ex. I think that in itself, like, I find Amani exhausting. She is
She is.
exhausting to me. We could never even be friends because you are doing the most all the time. You know,
I agree. She's exhausting. Yep.
you ever have a friend who 100% is like they drain your energy, and you're like, oh, every time you're with them, you're like, oh, I don't think we can be friends anymore. You ever
Yeah,
had that?
I have.
That's
I had a friend who every single time that she wanted to hang out, it turned into like a whole long day adventure because her life was just full of misadventures. And I was like, I can't do this. I got to get to sleep.
yeah, it's a lot.
I
Hey
can't.
Becca, hey girl, hey. Moving on to
Hey,
Greg, Joan, and
Becca.
Lucille. They have
Yes.
24 days to get married. Now, I got to tell you, this couple out of the season, it took me, because Greg, Greg has his challenges, but they seem genuinely in love. And they remind me of the old school 90 days where they literally are in love and are getting married because they love each other.
Hmm.
And their life isn't perfect and all the things, but their love is real. I love that.
There's a thing. So I never doubted that this couple loved each other. They do seem very genuine. I simply just don't think that love is enough.
Love is not enough. We've had this conversation. It is not enough. Friend, you need a job. You need your own place. You need to stand up on your own 2 feet. You
And
need to have
clean up
less,
after yourself.
clean up after
Like,
yourself. You have to have less people in your relationship. Let's get into it. So Joan is making his lunch for his first day at work. And it was really cute. right, you guys, when she was at camera, she's excited that her husband, or soon to be husband, finally has a job. So she's like, you can come home and you can do whatever you want. Died of laughter. Died of laughter because, yeah, she's excited that her man finally is going to go and start his first real career, y'all. Those are, no, did you ask me if he's 25? No. Mm-mm. He's almost 40. First real career.
I didn't realize he was that old.
He's like 36, I think. Isn't he?
Whoa.
Isn't
I'm
he?
not good with ages. So I just
I'll get back to you. But
wasn't
I
sure
could
how
be
old he was.
lying. But all I know is closer to 40 than it is to 20. That's what I know for sure.
Okay, like it was a little cute watching her make the lunch, but again, I was thinking to myself, she's setting herself up for failure because once you start working and you guys have kids, because they both said they want to have kids, I'm not putting that on them. They both said they want it. You can't be fixing his lunch and cleaning up all his clothes after him. He needs to do his own stuff. So like setting him up on this dynamic that if you work, you get special treats and you come home, you get to do whatever you want for doing a basic thing like getting a job.
Okay, so he's 35 years old, you guys. So yeah, closer to 40 than he is to 20. I didn't mind that she made lunch for him. I didn't read it like that, but I understand what you're saying. I think that uh the fact that she feels like she's contributing, right? Because she can't work herself right now and that she wants to take care of her man. I don't have a problem with that at all, actually. And if they do have kids and, she makes lunches for the whole family, I don't have a problem with that, Abby.
I don't have a problem with it if that's what she wants to do, but the trap that I see a lot of women fall into is I'm going to do everything that I can to support him while I am not able to work and I can't have my own career. And, as soon as they start having their own dreams of what they want to do when their work permit comes or their green card comes, then all of a sudden it's where's my maid? Where's the person who was cleaning after me? Where's the person who was making all my food? Where's the person who wanted to have relations anytime that I wanted it? Where's that person? You changed. No, that wasn't I changed. That's just the trap that I see a lot of people fall into in this situation.
Mm. All right. Valid points. Joan wants to take a dress, her wedding dress, to go get altered. And she wants to make sure that the dress is fitted. I did find it weird that she started talking about twerking in her wedding dress. I was like, that doesn't even sound like you, but okay, assimilate, girl, assimilate, if that's what's happening here. Now, Lucille, her soon-to-be mother-in-law, was looking forward to seeing Joan in her dress and it being a bonding time for them to be together, which I thought was really lovely, you guys. I thought that could have been a bonding time. And Joan shuts it down. So Joan expected to be driven to her appointment because she can't drive, doesn't have a license yet. And Lucille was more than willing to do that and did. But then when she's like, oh, you want me to come in with you and help you with your dress? Joe's like, no, I just want to be with my family. I want them to have the first look at my wedding dress. And basically, I'm not including you. Like, you're my ride, but you're not coming in there with me. And so she literally got out of the car, said, thanks for the ride, and left her future mother-in-law in the car. I thought it was mean. I thought it was mean to leave her in her car. I thought it was selfish. Lucille felt rejected and worthless, and I don't blame her.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out in my mind what is a way that she could have had what she wanted, which is a special moment for her family that's not going to be able to be there just for them, but also allow Lucille to be involved because she was very eager to be involved. How could she have done that?
Well, I think that she could have had that moment and showed the dress and then invited Lucille in after to also see the dress. There's some way that she could have included Lucille, but she didn't. Oh, that's terrible. Maybe I'm going to take this off. Oh, I just saw my screen flicker. Am I
That's
still
good.
frozen?
So you're still frozen for me. You guys, is Linda frozen for you or is it just me? Maybe I'm the one who's frozen.
Well, you're not frozen on my end.
Okay. So yeah,
Let
you're
us
still frozen.
let us know, because I had problems last week too.
Yeah. So yeah, Becca, you said especially because Greg was like, I'll have as many kids as she'll give me. I unfortunately think men like him, and this is not to say that he's a bad person. I think this is a product of like socialization and patriarchy and all that stuff. They think about having kids in the abstract. They don't think about all the work that kids require. And so I don't think that he's somebody who's like, okay, we have kids, then I'll help out more with the laundry. I'll help out more with dishes. I'll help out more with cooking. I don't think that's what he thinks about. I think all he thinks about is that there will just be kids in the house and magic fairies will take care of them. Magic fairies will do the cooking and the cleaning and everything else. And, marriages fall apart when women wake up and they realize I have been working a full-time job, contributing financially to the household, taking care of the kids, and all he does is make skid marks on his underwear.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Just saying.
Am I still frozen, you guys?
So now you are a black screen.
Oh Lord. So StreamYard is messing me over. I don't know what to do. I will contact them because I know that I had a black screen last week as well. I don't know.
Hmm. You just left and came back. Do you think it'll make a difference if I leave and come back?
We could try.
Okay.
You're still there.
Oh. Let's see.
I'm going to try something. I'm going to leave the studio, you guys, and I'm going to come back and see if that helps. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Becca, I agree with you. He's just thinking about making the babies and maybe them being there, like in theory, like, oh, they'll be running around and they'll be fun, but not the pampers of it all, not the crying of it all, not the up all night of it all, you know? So I think a really good thing to do if you are thinking about having children with a man is to just kind of ask them, what do you think the day-to-day life is of having a newborn? And how much participation do you have? Do you see yourself having, in the things that need to be done? And some of them won't even know what needs to be done with a child on a day-to-day basis. So you can just kind of gauge from there whether or not you want to make that kind of commitment, with your time.
Can
And
you
there
see
might be
me now?
some, no,
Mm. I'm not impressed with whatever is going on with StreamYard, you
maybe
guys.
it'll fix itself by itself. Like when you froze, when me and you and Kelly were talking, it
Mhm.
eventually like fixed itself somehow.
Okay, well, hopefully that does happen. Um, so Joan's dress is beautiful, and she calls her mom and her sisters, shows them the dress, and they have a all special moment. And one of the things I did want to share with you guys is this is one of the things that when you leave your whole life to come abroad and people are like, oh, you're coming for the green card. Yeah, green card. No, like this is a moment where she's going to have a whole wedding and none of her family is able to join because they can't get a visa in time to experience someone that that's their family from life. So I want you guys to think about those type of things when you guys are coming up saying, oh, this person wants a green card or married for a green card. No, there's a lot more that goes into it. And there are a lot of sacrifices on all ends.
Exactly. I think the sacrifices are like really magnified in this couple in particular too.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what's going on, but now my screen is like flickering on. Anyways, hopefully you guys like my voice. Moving on to
They do.
Sean and Aaliyah, they have 21 days to get married. And Sean is going to meet up with his friend Stacy, who's also his old business partner, to do her hair at the salon. Meanwhile, Aaliyah's going to talk to her mom. It was super cute, the little FaceTime that they had, where the mom's like, "Oh, you mess with me? Or they mess with you? They mess with me." And then she puts, you can't see me, you guys, but she puts up the guns as if she's like super strong. I don't know. I thought it was a really cute moment.
It was cute. It was very cute.
And the mom is encouraging Aaliyah to communicate with Sean because they are going through a lot of changes in the relationship. And the mom thinks that Aaliyah should include Sean in the choices, especially her choices to transition. What are your thoughts on that, Abby? I was curious.
My first thought is that all of this would be probably cured by Sean dating someone his age.
What does age have to do with it, though?
Because somebody who has been in their transition longer or who has lived more life is not in the throes of deciding what they want to do in that way, the way that Aaliyah is right now. Aaliyah shouldn't be rushed along this process as a 20-something-year-old just because you are a 60-something-year-old.
But is that what's happening? Is Sean rushing Aaliyah through the process, or should maybe Aaliyah not be in a relationship and focus on who she is becoming and get comfortable in that?
I think both. I think both. I think Sean saying that if you do X, then this marriage is not going to last is rushing a decision that maybe doesn't need to be made right away. And I also think that Aaliyah staying in this relationship on that condition is forcing decisions to go a certain way that maybe wouldn't go that way if you were just free to consider yourself and you didn't have to consider somebody else in those decisions. This is a relationship where I just don't really think that they should get married. I know that like the outcome has already happened. But I don't think that this couple should have gotten married because Sean should be able to get what he wants in a relationship, and Aaliyah should be free to develop and grow.
Yeah. I think Aaliyah should not have gotten married. I don't think that she's ready to get married because I don't think that she knows fully who she is yet. And she is still transitioning, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. And I just think that this was a wrong move.
Exactly. And
However, I
doing,
do, pardon?
oh, I was going to say, doing that on top of being in a new place, like it's one thing if you're doing all of that in your home environment, but doing it and acclimating to a new country is a lot.
Which is, I know I said all the things earlier that I wanted you guys to think about, but I do think that Aaliyah factored in that she wanted to be in California. I think that that was a big part in continuing to decide to get married in the 90 days because she literally said that she does not want to go back to Brazil. So that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate that you're rushing things along because you think that this is the only way that you can get out of a situation that you do not want to be in. But I encourage you guys to think about it. Like, getting married is not the answer to change your life. It's just not, because you're going to get hurt and it's going to get messy in the end. So yeah, you got what you think you wanted, but did you? That's all I have to say about that. So the mom is saying, yes, communicate with Sean about your choices and transitioning. And meanwhile, Sean's talking to his friend Stacy about Aaliyah wanting the gender reassignment surgery. And, I felt like his friend Stacy was asking legit questions that they should have already had these conversations about. As soon as Sean knew that Aaliyah was going to be transitioning, you guys needed to have some conversations as far as I'm concerned. So when Stacy says, will your marriage survive? Right? Because you clearly like this, A, and you're going to have B. What is that going to look like? And how have you guys not had this conversation yet? I added that part on because how have you not had the conversation yet? Then Sean says, quote unquote, well, I can easily just pull the 90-day visa. I thought about that. And then we could just take some space. We can reapply or not reapply. And I was like, Abby.
Well, you can reapply. I mean, like we had Nikki On, who had previously petitioned for Justin, that's not his real name, but she just called him that. And then, they withdrew the application. And then years later, she reapplied again. So you can apply again, they'll evaluate it again. But you can also, if you don't get married through, in the 90 days, you are not like automatically deported. You don't have to leave immediately. There is an alternative. So if a couple decided the 90 days is just simply not enough for us, we need more time, they could get married 6 months later, 8 months later. It's just during that time the person is undocumented. During that time, they're at risk for potentially being detained. Um, and then they don't get the benefit of being able to immediately apply for residency once they do finally get married, because it's outside of the 90 days. They have to do the I-130 process. They have to do the full spousal petition process instead of the shortcut process that is allowed by the fiance visa. So it's not, there's a lot of talk of, oh, if we don't get married in the 90 days, you're going to get deported. That's not exactly the process that happens.
Okay.
So it would just take longer, but you could do a regular spousal petition.
Gotcha. Okay. They are on their way to Venice Beach, and Aaliyah is having first world problems. She loves Beverly Hills, wants to live in Beverly Hills, even though she does live in West Hollywood Hills, you guys, which is pretty much the same thing. Rich people live there. I laugh because, again, what? Like, wait, what? What are you complaining about right now? So they go rollerblading on Venice Beach. Aaliyah would much rather have been just laying out suntanning, oiling herself up and suntanning, but they both tried rollerblading for literally, guys, 5 seconds. They both were terrible. And when I say they had like all of the pads and the hats and to rollerblade for 5 seconds, y'all, okay.
Look, Sean needs it. He's in his 60s.
They go for a walk on the beach, and Aaliyah says that she wants to start hormone therapy and the facial feminization surgery. Sean again reiterates that he'd like to be considered in her decisions because those decisions also affect their future. And he literally says, I can't guarantee our marriage would survive if you get gender reassignment. And I said in this moment, this is why you two should not have gotten married. Period. Full stop. You guys don't know what this is going to look like in 6 months, in 6 years. You shouldn't be moving forward in 2 days to get married. It makes no sense to me. It makes 0.00 sense to me, you guys. And both on Sean and Aaliyah's sides. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Yes, you love this person. This person's going through some changes in their life, as they should. And you know what? Their body, their choice. They do what they want to do. But Aaliyah, go and find what your life is. This 20-something changes and all the things. It's not fair to your partner, and it's not fair to yourself. Sean, you're grown. You could walk away. Is it because you want to have a pretty young thing on your side? I don't know what's going on, but y'all should not have gotten married. You are in 2 separate worlds. And the fact that you guys can't see the future together, but gonna literally get married is bonkers.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also a limitation of immigration here because they tried doing the F1 visa. They tried doing a J visa. Those were denied. And so as a last resort, they did the K visa, the fiance visa. So if there was a way for Douglas to live with Sean, if there was a way for Aaliyah to live with Sean and not to have this pressure that they have to get married, that's what they both would have preferred to do. So there is also a limitation immigration-wise here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Moving on to episode 15, Proof of Love. I felt like there was not a lot that happened in this episode, so I'm going to kind of run through it. But
okay.
Shekinah and Sarper have 5 days to get married. They are getting tattoos of each other, which I don't know, you guys. I've always heard that once you get a tattoo of your partner, it's a wrap. Like you guys are going to end at some point. But she's going to get a neck tattoo in red of Sarper's name, and he's also going to get a neck tattoo of her lips on his. Okay, y'all. They did it. The tattoo. I love tattoos, you guys, but that red tattoo on her neck was not the business to me. Didn't. I just didn't think it was attractive.
Mhm.
But that's just me. The lip thing, you know, I see that on some guys. I actually didn't know that that's what it stood for. It stood for like that's your woman's lips on your neck. Did you know that, Abby?
I didn't. Whenever I saw guys with that, I honestly thought it was just random. I never attached that to them being in a relationship at all.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So now I know. Um, she kind of also talked to her daughter via video chat, and Sophie has given her approval, her blessings for them to get married. She's like, you know, I'm going to go off to college and live my life, and I see that you're living your life. So as long as he makes you happy, then I'm happy for you. I thought that again, was an example how the children are oftentimes on 90 Day Fiance much more mature
Yep.
than their parents. Um, And so they're going to go and get ready to meet up with their friends. And Shekinah is steaming out Sarper's shirt. And I don't really have anything to say about that. I was gonna, but then I just right now changed my mind. So I'm going to move on because
Are you
I will.
sure? Are you sure?
Yeah,
Are
because
you
I'll go
sure?
down a rabbit hole and it doesn't make sense, especially if you guys can't see me because I'm going to like, you know, do all the hand gestures and all the things. And it'll just sound like I'm ranting when I'm trying to make a point, but whatever. So they're meeting up with like Dan and Alexandria and all the friends, and Dan and Sarper are going to pretend and try to have mutual respect for each other, even though every time you see them in real life, the venom that is popping off of each of them is hilarious to me. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about, Abby, is I feel like there's a lot of surgery in the group, both guys and girls. Like it was just so prominent. And you guys, I'm not against surgery. Like do whatever makes you feel beautiful. That's what I really am about. And a nip and a tuck or whatever makes you feel beautiful, I'm about. But this was so, it just stood out a lot to me.
Right. Everything is sharp and square. Even the teeth are not normal, natural shapes. Um, it's very severe, but I imagine that if this is your friend group, then it makes sense. Everybody has some level of dysmorphia.
It was a lot. Like I just was like, what am I looking? How do you all know each other? Did you guys know each other pre-surgery, and then this became like a surgery group, and you guys all said, "Oh, we'll do this. We'll do." Like I don't. Did you know each other after surgery, and then you were drawn to each other because you were like-minded? It's
No,
confusing to me.
we didn't get any introductions. We only know that her and Dan previously dated and that one of the ladies is her business manager. We didn't other than that, we don't know where these people came from.
Yeah, it's wild. Anyways, they have decided, they meaning Shekinah and Sarper, have decided to tell the friends that they're not having a wedding, they're having a bedding. And I'm not clear. And you guys, because I'm behind, I haven't actually seen the wedding yet, but this bedding that they're going to have, so the wedding in their bed, this is how I know that there's someone for everyone, because I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. What are you guys even saying right now? What does that even look like right now?
I've never heard of that, but I have heard of the morning after photo shoot where the
What
couple
is
is so where the couple is still in bed from the morning after the wedding and the photographer comes in and does not burlesque style, but like risque style photos of the couple in the morning. I've heard of that, but I've never heard of a bedding.
Yeah, would you guys have a betting? Let me know, because I think it's outrageous.
I don't
And
know why we can't just stand on the beach. We could be by ourselves, just you and I on the beach.
I just don't, I don't get it, you guys, but Tanya. I don't get it, but here we are. So they're gonna have a betting, and then one of the friends asked about a prenup, and this is where I was like, "Oh, Sarper took me back to old Sarper, where I thought he was terrible because he's won me over." But when he got offended because they brought up a prenup that they think that he should sign, um, facts.
I was
Becca,
waiting for you to
facts.
read it. I was waiting for you to read what Becca said. So the replay. Yeah, Linda doesn't even like shoes on the bed, let alone an officiant. Yeah.
Facts. Facts. Okay? Facts. What you're not about to do is run up in your dirty clothes and my clean linen. Anyways, don't get me started, Becca. Back to the prenup. So he got offended, and so according to Shekinah, he was lashing out. But here's what I didn't like. And you guys, women, what you're not about to do is you're not going to be with a man who has a weight requirement for you. Full stop. That's what you're not about to do. Because that man doesn't want you for you. And as you get older, some of these things are impossible. Okay. It's just not realistic. So for him to say that she has to have a target weight of 128 pounds and that he would fine her £1,000 for $1,000 for every pound she was over. When I say my blood was boiling, my blood was boiling. I was like, oh, there you are. There's the guy that I was like, oh, nah. Right? Because in my opinion, I think that Shekinah already has some body issues that she has not worked through. And so to be with a partner who's also making her stay a certain way and then her confirming, well, I don't care about this because I'm already doing that. It's like, asking someone to wash the dishes who's already washing the dishes. Like, I don't care about it. Like, I will never gain weight. That told me everything I needed to know about her, on top of looking at her friend group and the surgeries and all the things. And I just think, like, there's something deeper in there that I don't know, whatever trauma she's holding on to, but it's there. And she is trying to fix the outward body without dealing with the inward trauma, if that makes sense to y'all.
There's a lot of it. I think that her family could have their own TV show, like how they went from their conservative cult that they belonged to the daughters being at seemingly like multiple different extremes. Like she's on this like plastic surgery extreme. She has the biker sister extreme. Like how did they all end up that way? And what happened to them in that process? Because I'm interested in that kind of stuff. I would watch it, Shekinah.
Same, I would too. And I'm sure that they are angling for some type of something. Moving on to Stevie and Maddie. They have one day to get married. Obviously, we know that Maddie didn't enjoy the burlesque show. He still thinks that Stevie's bisexual. Again, if you're in a relationship and about to get married the next day and you feel like you can't have a conversation, like you're literally, hyperventilating and giving the silent treatment, all of this immature stuff, you can't have a conversation with the person you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with. It's fascinating to me. Like, why are you getting married? Again, I feel like this is a situation where he doesn't want to be where he was. And so he is staying because he made that choice. And now maybe he's regretting the choice. But y'all knew each other for less than 2 weeks in real life, and you decided you're figure it out in 90 days, and you're not figuring it out. And not only are you not figuring it out, you're not communicating. That is driving me crazy. It is.
Yeah.
You shouldn't get married, but here we are.
You shouldn't get married. If you feel like you can't talk about things, you shouldn't get married. If you've asked your spouse the same question 14 times and you just don't believe their answer, that means you shouldn't get married.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So then he goes on to say that she shouldn't have enjoyed the burlesque show And I was like, the audacity. Why I know it's a different culture, but guess what? I appreciate beautiful people all the time. All the time. You can appreciate the beauty of a body, and that doesn't have anything to do with your sexuality. I hope you all know that. Because the things that he is saying, I understand that that's how he grew up and that's what he thinks. But in real life, beauty is beauty, and beauty can be whatever. It doesn't have to say that that is linked to your sexuality, because it absolutely is not. How are they going to get married if they can't communicate? How are they going to get married if they can't tell each other things? I don't think their 90 days was enough for their specific relationship.
No.
I think that they're not going to last. That's what I think. I think that he has his own reasons, and that's why he's staying. But does this have long-term capability? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The fact
For
that
a,
he said, go ahead.
for a variety of reasons, even if they were more well suited to each other personality wise, like the area that they live in, the closed off culture, I just don't think that he would have survived that.
Not at all. And the fact that he thinks he can fix their problems after the wedding is outrageous to me. Like, it just,
Outrageous.
who, you guys, like, just, there's so much, you guys, there's so much. To even say that out loud makes me think that you're not that bright, or you're not thinking things through.
These are
The
the
next
kind of things he was saying that made me feel like, okay, I think perhaps you're not really here for Stevie. I think maybe there's some ulterior motive here, because why insist upon going through with this wedding with this many questions?
And you want to know something? I'm just going to throw it out there. I think that he may be dealing with his own um, thoughts about sex and sexuality, and coming from somewhere where he clearly was repressed for a long time. I think that, what's the saying? Thou protest too much. The fact that you are protesting so much about this specifically is saying a lot about yourself, in my
That is
opinion.
possible. That is
I think that,
possible, Linda.
I think there's something else going on for him in that. They go to the Ross mansion. Abby, what were your thoughts on the Ross mansion?
I was waiting for the slave quarters.
Same. I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The colonialism of it all, the peacock chamber with the stuffed whatever taxidermy. No, thank you. No, thank you. I could see the ancestors all up in there. No, thank you.
Yeah, those tortured and tormented souls. I won't be staying there.
Yeah, not my vibe at all. Ooh, Lord. That just gave me the whole heebie jeebies. And this is all, ooh. Yeah. No, thank you. Okay. They get into the room. They jump on the bed. Maddie says, "Are you bisexual?" And here's the thing that is driving me crazy is that what happened?
No, I'm just like, they jump on the bed, and then Maddie says, "Are you bisexual?" It's just funny.
That's what happened. That's what happened. And then she says, "Are you serious?" And here's the thing that I can't stand about this whole situation is, why doesn't she just directly answer the question? So he finally gets up courage, for the last lack of better word, to talk to his soon-to-be wife like tomorrow. You finally feel like you can talk to her, and then she starts crying. She says she's too tired to answer. And my thing is, why not just answer the question? Either you are or you aren't. Why are we dragging this out? Why is your future husband stuck on this? And why will you not answer the question? Both of you are outrageous. Both of you should not get married because you clearly cannot communicate. Obviously, either on his end or her end or both of their ends, there's some sexuality questions and concerns that they're both not talking about. I'm over it. Why can't you answer the question? And why is it even a question? Maddie starts crying, says he sacrificed his life to come here, feels like it was a mistake. Well, you could go back, right? No one's like forcing you to stay and get married.
Well, he can't now, but it's not funny. But he can't
That is
now.
not funny. Yeah, that is not funny. Even though I'm not happy.
You're here now.
Here we are. I'm gonna talk about Amani, Matt, and Ani, unfortunately.
Yeah, boo.
I find them exhausting. Amani specifically. I know it's
Amani specifically.
yes.
Amani specifically, yes.
Yeah. Matt and Amani feel like they had an emotional roller coaster last night. They wake up, they're still thinking about it, and they're asking each other, here we are, should we walk away? Uh, and my note says, me too. I want to walk away from your whole situation. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I would like to walk away too. They want explanations about why Annie lied about her name, and
This is the
Annie.
weirdest thing to me because like I don't think that there's anyone that I've ever met casually from Mexico, from a lot of the Caribbean islands, who uses their legal name. Like it's much more common to know somebody's nickname. I just don't understand why she's making such a big deal out of this.
Yeah, it's a friggin' nickname. Annie from Brenda and I. Annie. What's confusing about that?
It makes complete sense.
Why are we like, oh, she's a undercover, la la la? Like, first of all, why are you talking to her ex-boyfriend anyways? And second of all, how do you not see that Annie and I are like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know. I mean, some of the ones that I know don't even go together that well. My Aunt Lulai, her real name is Cynthia. Where'd Lulai come from? Don't know. I'm just saying, like, people have nicknames. Get over it.
I have a nickname. My one older brother calls me a nickname that's close to my name. He's the only one, but like, okay. So that's what he calls it. He's called me it my whole life. Does that mean I'm an undercover? Like, I don't understand what the big deal is. It really, like, what is it? What's the one that I always think is funny? What is Dick short for?
Richard.
Richard. Like, how did you guys? Who came up with that? But you see, it's there.
Yeah.
Here we are. So she brings her friend Diego over to meet with Matt and Amani so that there's no issue in communicating, which again, to me, you guys is a red flag. If you can't communicate with your partners, you have to bring a translator in. I mean, maybe go separately and do Babel or whatever, learn the language for the person you think you want to be with, because like this is ridiculous. So they bring the friend in. We find out that Ani was a victim of DV, and that's why she wasn't using her full name. She had to get a restraining order. She couldn't put anything in her name because she was still legally married. And then I guess in Mexico, that's where they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In Mexico, if someone doesn't want to divorce you, then it's a longer process, and there's investigations and all of this stuff, and it can take a lot of time if it's not an amicable divorce or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So she was explaining that is all that was going on. She did mention what I mentioned is, there's 3 people in this relationship. Why is there now a 4th? Don't believe the 4th party who's bringing all these accusations. You should have just come to me and I would have told you. I would have told you in my own time. But because Amani's so dramatic and everything is a thing, and I understood what Annie said when Annie's like, you're always fighting. Yeah, it's because every little thing is something with her. Everything. It's too much.
Yeah. Everything becomes an absolute. Oh, I didn't know that your full name was Anai, and I'm just calling you Ani. You're a liar. You lie to us all the time. Everything that she says is an absolute, as opposed to, oh, okay, so your full name is Anai. Do you want us to call you that, or should I call you Brenda? Like, why do you have to make everything that she's a liar? And I just don't like her calling Ani names. I just don't like the power dynamic that's happening here with them. You're
Right.
calling her a hoe, you're calling her a liar. Like, these are these are serious assaults on somebody's character and could easily escalate into verbal abuse.
Agreed. Moving on to Sean and Aaliyah, 5 days to get married. Again, y'all, they should not have gotten married, but here we are. Aaliyah's doing laser hair removal. Sean has decided that he needs a prenup because he wants to prepare for every possibility. It's going to make him feel more comfortable to protect himself, because if indeed these changes that Aaliyah are going through is too much for him, he wants to have a guarantee that he's protected himself. Again, you guys, I don't understand why this is not a full stop. Let's not get married right now. I don't understand. Just saying that is wild to me.
Yeah.
I always thought that people get married because you're like, oh, I can see myself with this person for the rest of my life, and I want to do the journey of life with this person for the rest of my life. But both of you guys, and both of them, okay, I equally blame both of them. Sean, you're older, so you should probably know better, but you've said you don't feel comfortable without a prenup because you don't know if you're going to be able to take all the changes. If you're not going to be able to take the changes, then you should not get married, period.
Correct.
Aaliyah was not expecting a prenup, so she takes offense to it, which I took offense to her offense. Because again, Aaliyah, you are changing your whole being. You're 20-something years old. Go through that. I personally am offended that you're offended, because that makes me think that you're in this relationship for the wrong reasons. Go and be your best self, and I love that for you. But the simple fact that you also want to have the benefits of Sean's money and lifestyle is kind of selfish. And so for you to be mad that he's like, oh, hey, by the way, here's a prenup and we can't get married without it, and you being like, oh my God, you're thinking about the end? Well, yeah, because you both have not had the conversations to be like, hey, what does this look like in 30 days, in 60 days, in a year?
Let's be honest with ourselves, guys. When you get presented with a prenup, don't be like, oh my God, you're thinking about the end. Everybody should be thinking about the end. That is the more likely conclusion for everybody, unfortunately. So everyone should be thinking about the end.
That, and just don't be stupid. Like, be smart. Be smart. I mean,
Right.
even with a prenup, you can walk away happy. You can walk away with things that you wanted. So, like, y'all just calm down with the whole, ooh, he asked me for a prenup. But be smart and get your own counsel to look at it and make sure that you have the things that you think that you are going to need.
Right.
Because here's the other flip side. If it unfortunately does get to that point, it may or may not be contentious, but you guys are not going to obviously be in the loving space that you are in right now. So do it in the loving mindset and have all the things that you feel like you need, instead of fighting in the end. To be honest, you guys, a prenup really does make it easier if it comes to the end, because here's clearly stated what you have. Here's clearly stated what you're going to get. Boom, boom, sign the papers, and you can walk away free.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
Right. And you can put protections in for yourself. I would imagine that you're going to go on, Aaliyah, to make a great name for yourself. Go ahead and put in a protection for yourself. Everything that you earn in the future is yours.
There. Becca says, if I got married in California, I would expect a prenup, and you bet I would add stuff for me before signing. That's it. Why are we all making this such a big deal, dirty word? This is life. They go over to Sean's mom's house for 4th of July. And they are celebrating. The mom's done a big deal about it because it's Aaliyah's first 4th of July in America. And this is where, again, y'all are bringing people into your relationships and making it messy and awkward. So Aaliyah brings up that Sean has now thrown at her last minute this prenup, and she hasn't signed it yet. And so what is that going to look like? Because they're supposed to get married in 5 days. Well, it's going to be a party if she doesn't sign it. And also, she's going to have to go back to Brazil because she didn't get married in the 90 days. And are you okay with that? I think that's exactly what should have happened. Had a big party, go back to Brazil, and live your best life. But Aaliyah, I also know that you want to be in California. You want to be in America for your own reasons. And so that's something I feel like they should have talked about. What are your thoughts, Abby?
I agree with you. There's nothing that I disagree with. I just, I wish there were other immigration options available for Aaliyah to stay in the US without the pressure of your future self-discovery and evolution being dependent on a man. I hate that for every woman who falls into that kind of situation. But unfortunately, there are places in the world where your decision on who you're going to partner with has to be a financial one.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but true. You're stating facts. Joan and Greg, 7 days to get married. Loved her hair in this, you guys. Loved it. Loved it. I love what we're seeing with Joan. Also too, with Mina, but that's just me. So Greg has paid the dower, we found out, and so it was 15 cows, $200 a pop. So he was able to pay the $3,000 because his mom and dad took some of the pressure off of him for having to pay for the wedding because they're paying for the wedding. So he had additional $3,000 if you want to look at it like that, to go ahead and pay the dowry. Now, do I feel like that puts you in a great position, Greg? Absolutely not.
Absolutely
not. Because if mommy and daddy didn't come to the rescue, what exactly would you have done? And again, you're closer to 40 than you are to 30. So I just feel like if you're supposed to be the provider, which you are presenting yourself as, because you sponsored Fiance and know what that entails, then what would you have done? I'm just curious. If your parents weren't paying for the wedding, what would you have done? Like, I guess what I'm saying is, you live at home, your mom cooks for you, she cleans for you, your mom works, all the things. Yes, you have a job now, and yes, this is a great love story, you guys. I get it. But like Abby and I say, love is just, to me, it's just not enough. Love is not enough. So what's now going to happen? You should have hundreds of thousands of dollars, as far as I'm concerned. 3,000 shouldn't break your bank because you live at home for free and your mom cooks and cleans for you. So like, where is your money? Where's your money? And I get it. You don't have money because you don't work, but you're 35. Make it make sense. Okay, I'm done. So he had money to buy a cow outfit. He dresses up as a big cow to let her know that he's paid the dowry. Now, was that cute? And does that match their little relationship 100%?
I have a question. How is it perceived if you have to put your dowry payments on like a layaway? How is that perceived by the family?
There's no such thing.
There's no like 5 cows now,
No.
5 cows later.
No, you're not laying away a dowry, y'all. Okay. You can be sending money every month. You could be sending money every month, which plenty of immigrants do. But what you're not about to do is put a dowry on layaway.
A small detail that they threw in that I didn't feel like it got emphasized enough was Joan said a part of why it was so important for her dowry to be paid was because her dad set the dowry before he passed away.
I was just going to get into that. Yes. So one of the, and I feel like that's something that again could have been explained a little bit more to the audience, because it's a big part of respect for the family. It's a big part of culture in Africa and many places. And most importantly, for Joan specifically, it was her dad's last wishes. So you can imagine, perhaps he knew who was passing. We don't know what he passed from, but he did set that dowry, and that was his last wishes for his daughter. So she tells Greg, thank you. And you know what I did notice about this couple? She tells him that she loves him all the time, like a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. And that is a sign to me of a healthy relationship, when you're able to just be like, you know, I love you. Little things, I love you, I love you, I love you. And it not seem insincere. It's actually like she wants to let him know how much she loves him, which I think is great.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have a bachelorette party by Laura, who is one of Greg's friends, and it's because, you know, Joan doesn't really know anyone in Long Island. They're gonna go to the strip club, and this little shlong in your face thing cracked me up. Her face was like, shlong, shlong. Loved it. I loved it. Her mother-in-law Lucille is going to be joining them, and both of them have never been to a strip club, and it was everything that I imagined it was going to be. You guys, it's fantastic. So they played the Never Have I Ever game on the party bus there. We learned a little something about Lucille. Lucille's a little freaky deaky. Okay, she's a little freaky deaky.
Okay.
And then they're in the strip club, and you know, Lucille's having a moment. She's like, those are like 2 water balloons. And then one of the friends decides that she's going to buy Joan a lap dance, and Joan's like, does that mean that she's going to put her bum on me? Died of laughter. All of it was just very entertaining to me. Last couple for episode 15 was Jessica and Juan. They have 29 days to get married, and all I can say is I'm so sick of her friend
Megan.
Sick of it. I'm sick of it. Megan with an I. I'm sick of you. So Juan told Jessica about the cruise opportunity. She freaks out. He's like, well, if I can't find a job, which, you know, they're in Timbuk nowhere, it's going to be hard for him, as it is, right? And it's going to be hard for him to find something that he enjoys. He enjoys this cruise life, whatever. So he's like, you know, if in order to provide for my family, if I can't find a job, then I want to go back to cruising. Megan, not Jessica, Megan says he has to let that go and find opportunities here. He is not going to leave it. I was like, ugh. Abby, why is Megan? I'm trying to figure it out. I told you guys, she is too involved in this relationship. Like the crying that she does, and like she's even look at her own husband. Her own husband looks at her crazy too. Like, oh, this bitch.
So like this situation happened, and I realized I do believe in patriarchy a little bit, because if I ever did something like this, like if I was ever so out of pocket like Megan is, I would want my husband to be like, shut the hell up. Mind your own business.
Facts. So Jessica goes on to say that she didn't sign up to be a cruise wife, but then you met him on a cruise. I'm like, I don't understand y'all. I don't understand y'all. You, like, what? You met him on a cruise.
The only thing that makes me angry about Juan is that, okay, like I understand that you want to work and provide for your family, but he devalues what he could be contributing to his family right now. And if you're going to go on to say that your culture is so important to you, that we see him do later on, then why isn't your culture so important that you want to stay and impart that culture on these kids that you're raising, plus your own biological child? How important is it if you want to go be away for 8 months?
That's a valid point. That's valid. He has talked about culture, like Abby said. So Megan and Jessica, I guess, but Megan decided that they're going to do paper flowers. And I thought it was funny that one's like, are paper flowers part of my culture? And they had the audacity to say that they looked it up on Google. So, yes. What?
You know what? But I had no respect for Juan in this moment because he could have proposed what he wanted as a part of his culture. Like, you left them to try and figure it out. They made a guess of something that could fit into your culture, and then all you did was sit around and complain about it.
Yeah,
But you didn't suggest anything.
yeah, okay. Mm.
So how do you
Well, why is
expect
this coming
people?
up 29 days before the wedding? Shouldn't that not something you both discuss? Like, hey, we're planning our wedding. What parts of our wedding do you
I
want
don't
to
know.
not include it? I just
You
don't.
think
I'm trying to
I
figure
don't
out
get it.
the common sense of it all, you guys, and it's like stress. It stresses me out because I feel like that seems like it would be just a natural, normal
Right.
conversation.
Because all you have when you're long distance, all you have is conversations.
Right. So, like, how? What, y'all? What?
So how does this not come up? I feel like I don't understand how people don't have all these conversations. I don't understand how they don't like walk around just like on FaceTime video or WhatsApp video and just show the area around and like, okay, now I'm going to the grocery store. This is what our grocery store looks like. I'm walking the neighborhood. This is what neighborhood looks like. How are those not normal, natural things that happen when all you have is the phone? Throw some soda on the table and call it good. That guy, you're hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. He could have suggested like certain kind of music, DJ, other things, but no, they tried to come up with something and incorporate it. I don't know. Juan's just being a whiny little bitch, in my opinion. I think we lost Linda. Oh no, Linda, we can't hear you. But that was the last couple. I think we have one episode and then the tell all to do next. So we're going to talk about when we'll do that. Oh, she's coming back. She's coming back, and you have a picture this time.
Yo, my computer just shut down. I was like, what is happening? I'm gonna get my technology sorted, you guys. I promise for next week. But in the meantime, I do want to say something about getting married. Please know your partner before you get into anything serious. I've told you what questions, I've given you the questions to ask even before you get into a serious relationship. Please have those conversations so that Abby and I are not sitting up here talking crazy about you because you sound crazy and you look crazy. Do better and be better. I want the best for y'all. So don't be like these people, please. That being said, I think that's it. Oh, well, the part where Jessica's like, pick, Cruz or me. If you're stooping to a level where you have to give your future partner an ultimatum, you probably have deeper issues and you should not be getting married right away. That's just my opinion.
Correct. And the cruise was never a logistical option anyway. You can't leave for 8 months on a work permit.
So why
That
are
was
we
never
even
gonna
talking about it, y'all? Outrageous. All right, you guys. We will see you soon, sooner than later. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry for the technical difficulties, and I'll get it sorted. Bye, y'all.
Bye. I wanna love you.